Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So here we go. Check this out. First, I want to give a shout out to C. Jefferson, MLR, and DeJohn for the generous Cash App coming through. Also to V. You know who you are. And so the businesses that I'm starting as moving forward. I have, God, how much is it I got to send now? About $2,000 US left to get the franchise and then to open up the location. And I think what I'll do is I'll probably in the community tab pin that up, or in the about tab, I'll put that up and I can change it to show how much is left. Those who want to contribute to it can. If you can't, you can't. But for something coming through on this Cash App, thanks a million. From the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. All right, look, gentlemen, I'm going to play this, and I want to give a shout out to Brazil Yesh for this video too. I want y'all to listen to this woman very closely. And I am going to have an I told you so sermon at the end of this. Here goes.
Okay, by now we're all familiar with the passport bros and their desire to go abroad to get a wife. And
she said, by now we're all familiar. This is good, gentlemen. I didn't realize, I don't live there, so I don't know how familiar everybody is with y'all, because if they're familiar with y'all, then they're by extension going to become familiar with SYSBM as well, and SYSMB and Passport Gang too. But gentlemen, they're all familiar. Oh, this is good. We're getting somewhere.
Most of the girlies were like, okay, bon voyage, I wish you nothing but the best. Good luck. Bah.
That's not really what most of them were saying, as you all know. A lot of them were like, you just going to take advantage of somebody. So, as long as you stay where they're taking advantage of you, you a real man. But then they don't really think you're a real man because of that. They lose respect for you because they took advantage of you. But they still want you to stay where they can take advantage of you. But then when you find a fair deal for you, a game that's not rigged, and it's not even antagonist and animus and malicious, and then all of a sudden you ain't a real man no more. But she knows doggone well that's not what a lot of them were saying.
But I've been thinking about it lately, and just based on my past experience, I don't want them to go anywhere. Not because I want them or I want y'all to have them. I don't want anyone to have them. I want them to just leave women alone, period.
I don't have to play the rest of it. I'm not even going to. Y'all heard that. She pretty much, this is what she just did. She just sat up and said what most of them are thinking and how most of them have been thinking. See, look, 30 years ago, I would get a chance to listen to things that a lot of the girls would say. And it was just dumb, a lot of stuff. When it would come to other things in life, they were small. When it came to guys, dumb. To the point I was so confused then, but now I understand. It's just pure malice. You're logical and you have a sense of responsibility about everything in life, except for when it comes to men. Now you stupid. That's malicious. That's all that is. All that is saying, oh yeah, I'm intelligent. I'm just not going to let you benefit from it. Yeah, I have a sense of responsibility. I'm just not going to let you benefit from it. I'm not going to apply it to even our mutual benefit. F that. I'm willing to suffer to see your butt suffer because your happiness is my greatest unhappiness. That's what that is. Now she sat up and said what most of them are thinking. Because see, when I was coming up, I realized what was going on. When I was coming up, I realized that a lot of these ladies didn't want certain guys to find anyone. And they wanted to be able to put a guy that they liked in that category too. You realize, in middle school, you realize a lot of these girls would like guys and they would try not to like them. Gentlemen, there have been girls that had crushes on you and would work themselves. They would do things to themselves to make themselves not like you anymore because their friends didn't want you. There wasn't enough competition for you. I'm not joking. They would look for things. One of the reasons they falsely accuse men of so many things, if it's purely social or if it's even outright illegal and immoral and outrageous, is because sometimes they're trying to work themselves into not wanting you because they can't show you off to their friends. Understand this. When Brian Banks got that false accusation, realize this, when he was falsely accused, he was a star football player. A girl could brag to other girls about being with him. She could have bragged about that. She could have gone all the way and got knocked up by him, could have bragged, yeah, that's my baby daddy, at least at that age. The embarrassment was still there with her. So what did she do? She lied. If he does not have the social capital for a woman to be able to admit that what they did was consensual, even if it wasn't going all the way, the rest of us don't stand a chance. False accusations are highly likely. Now, you might be saying, how do you go from one to the next? To me, they're related. Because if it's all about social capital to them and being able to brag about it, if it's all about, if what they want ideally is to be able to satisfy that lower need with you and still be socially accepted for doing so, that's what it's about to them, then you got to understand something too, gentlemen. Okay, so that's what it's about to them. That's what's important to them. Guess what? They can't socially be accepted after they do this with many of you. Then look, if Brian ain't socially acceptable enough for her to not lie about it at least, then understand that that means most of us are not socially acceptable enough. The only way they can socially justify being with us is if they're using us. They can't stand in front of their friends and say, no, that's actually my type. No, I'm actually happy with him. No, we straight. Butt out. It ain't your business. They can't do that. What this means is that they can't do that now. They can't look and say, hey, you know what? It's okay. Fut the shuck up. We're Gucci. Instead, this means that when their friends question them about being with so-and-so, they've got to sit up and say, well, girl, look, he's good for this, that, or the other. Okay, so he ain't really you. Okay, that makes sense. So you're not faithful, right? No, girl, I got somebody else. Girl, look, he's good for this. The other guy's good for this. The other guy's good for that. It's like Steve Harvey said. Decades ago, he said this. You got to have that one. He said, you got to have one guy for this, one guy for that, one guy for that. And you got to have this other dude that just, he can't hardly talk. But when you get him there, oh, y'all kicking tables over and lamps and everything else. And then you got to have the 9AY friend to call and tell about him. Steve Harvey made that joke a long time ago. I thought it was a joke because that's why it was comedy. I thought, okay, this can't be, it's got to be an exaggeration of something that just happens sometimes. Because I was in high school when I heard Steve Harvey say that. Maybe I just started college. Maybe it was that. But that's where I was. And here we are today, understanding that this is what most of Western women are doing. At least the ones that are outdoors. And most of the guys are everybody except that dude that gets to come over and kick the tables and the chairs over. That's what the game is. And this woman is sitting up here and she's saying, I don't want them going nowhere. I don't want anybody to have them. What she wants is a situation in which these other traditional women are as miserable as her and her colleagues. Because this woman here is not a MILF. She's middle-aged, I'd say, and she ain't a MILF. So her option's done. She's going to have to pay for and take care of and carry a Negro. That's what she's going to have to do. If I wasn't Muslim and I was stuck in the West, I would utilize some of them. I'd use them for their money. Turn around, use that money to make more money. Then when I qualify for the ones I want, the ones that are actually better to look at, I'd use them too. If I had no scruples. And that's if I choose to even be bothered with them. As a Muslim, if I was stuck in the West, I'd marry according to the Sharia, not according to the laws of the state. I'd marry one, I'd find a MILF with some money, if they're there. Wouldn't utilize the money, not without her permission, actually not without her volunteering and offering it. But if I utilize that and I made more money, I would still marry someone else that I would, for me, MILFs are great. So, I'd probably marry another MILF. That's for me. That's not common. That's not what most of you would do. But hell, I'd probably help some younger cats marry some younger women. Then again, in the states where you guys are, most of you, and others of you being in the UK, in the Bahamas, and Suriname, and in the islands, outside the Bahamas, other islands, many of you, sadly enough, don't have options like that. Your options are just as bad as the ones in the States. But this lady is sitting up and saying what many of them are thinking, only she's now able to find a way to justify that sentiment. She's now able to sit up and say, well, you know what? We don't want them to go anywhere, but here's the real reason. Let's convince ourselves, not just these guys, let's convince ourselves that it's out of sympathy for these other women, because we're xenophobic as Americans and as Western women in general. We're hypergamous, so we look at, foreign guys, meaning non-Western men, as being down. So let's assume that these other women see it the same way. I got to marry somebody to increase my social economic standing for myself and my family. A lot of women do. Western women don't want to marry if that's not a part of the package. They just don't want you to know that that's a part of the package. You have to bring things to the table that you don't even know you're bringing. You have to. And see, these are the same women that you can only be with when they're attractive, when they don't know that they're attractive. That's the Western woman. I know, because when I dated, I wouldn't date ugly, but they usually did not feel secure in their own looks. And it would really show up when the relationships came to an end. And I'd be like, the problem is not your looks. Get over that. That's not it. You screwed up. I already know if I had screwed up this royally, you'd be gone. I know, because I've been dumped for less. Now you've done X, Y, and Z that warrants it. The relationship's over. It is not your looks. That counts in your favor. If I date again, the next chick's probably going to resemble you. That's what's going on. Of course, that's before I was Muslim, because now we date within marriage. My current girlfriend is my wife. She and I date. Hopefully this continues. That's what I want. But you see, you gentlemen, now you heard it from the horse's mouth, and now they're going to try to reconvince themselves as to why. Now keep in mind that as misandry gets bolder and more militant as a whole, eventually women like her are going to come out and simply say, they just don't deserve to be with nobody. And they're going to forget that it's about supposedly other women. What do they want for these women? What they want for these women is to get access to whatever resources we have that they think we have, because we ain't loaded. Most people aren't loaded. Most human beings aren't rich. But they want them to have access to benefits in our lives without us. So just show up, drop the check, fix things if you're a handyman or something, and then fit the guck out of her face. That's what they want. They are trying to demand these things on behalf of these other women. And if these other women begin to hear these things, they're hoping that these other women will say, yeah, you know what? That's what we want. Just show up with the check and maybe some tools or better laptops or things like that. Maybe some better technology, as if these things don't already exist over there. Yes, do that and then leave. Don't look for anything in exchange. We don't owe you anything, man. We own you, not owe you. You owe us because you're a guy and I'm not. They're trying to export that same idea, not even because they really care about these women. It's because misery wants company. And so they want these women to wind up miserable like them in the middle age. And two, of course, because they hate you. This woman speaking from a position of hatred. She wants you to be a dead end. She thinks your very DNA by default is inferior. See, oftentimes young chicks just simply find a lot of guys to be invisible. The guys they don't really like are just kind of invisible when they're young. Tends to happen. Shapes their worldview. When they get older, they start to realize how many guys they're not really attracted to. Takes them a while to pick up on that, but they do. They realize, you know what, most guys aren't my type. And it also shapes their view and it adds some hostility. Because now they've actually been around for more years. More guys to whom they're not attracted. And they realize as they get older, you know what? As I get older, I'm not only still being approached by guys I don't want, but they're taking up a greater percentage of the guys that will even approach me. I mean, they get to a point where, you know what? They're not being approached by the guys they want at all. It wasn't happening enough for their egos when they were younger. They get older, it ain't happening at all. And that's where some of this bitterness and anger and hostility come in. I'm sick of this. Why would you even approach me? You don't deserve to be with me or anybody. You deserve to be by yourself all the time. You should always be sexually unsatisfied and frustrated. With a K, not T, frustrated. Yeah. That's what they're thinking. Why? Because that's what they're moving towards. They're moving towards that because they still want commitment and validation. But when they start bringing it up to the guys from whom they wanted, those guys say, I don't have to commit and I don't have to validate you. I'm going to come through and slide in and out. And I'm going to flush that used rubber down the toilet and I'm going to bounce. That's what you good for. And they don't want to sit up and slap these dudes in the face. I mean, maybe they want to, but they don't. You know how they are. They want to, but they don't, but they want to, but they don't, but they want. That's how the Western woman is. She's indecisive like that. Flighty, vacuous. So keep in mind, gentlemen, and this is what you need to tell these young brothers, that these same broads, you need to tell these brothers that this woman here talking, it's just an older version of the same broad that's sitting next to him in middle and high school that is ditzy and vacuous and all over the dot-gam place and really smart about everything in life except for guys. She's, that chick she's smart in physics class. She's good in math. She's good with other languages. That chick, but she's really ditzy and stupid when it comes to dudes and she's just too dumb to listen to. I don't know why. I just want to do this thing that's silly and goofy. Oh. And I'm supposed to be okay with that because you're cute and you got breastises. Fit to get out my face with that. They may not be here in the West, but there's some women somewhere that are traditionally more mature than that, and they look as good as you do. Bye. You know what, gentlemen? You got to tell these young brothers that ditzy broad in the class next to him, that's ironically very smart about everything else in life, that doesn't matter and doesn't help her with dudes. It's just a younger version of this broad here that's talking. I don't want anybody to have them. And she wants to sit up here. And all she's really saying is that, well, these women must be suffering too, because I would suffer if I were with you guys. They can't think. This is how you know that the West ruins them. They cannot think from another woman's perspective that has not been through the same damage. They cannot do it. And they always see these women as unfortunate and poor and maybe trained to be pick-me-shas. Well, you don't know any better, but let me teach you. Oh, wait a minute. You're resisting my education. No. Now, some would say, hey, wait a minute, black man, ain't that what you doing when you go over there to Saudi? And you trying to teach them kids and they don't want to see things your way and you get mad? Well, that difference is I'm right and they wrong, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to teach them a skill that can help them. I'm trying to help them be bilingual, not unilingual. I'm not over here trying to erase their Arabic. And I don't have to. And as a matter of fact, I should not respect their Bedouia, because that outlook on life is wrong. So when I say to a student in Arabic, say this sentence after me, and he doesn't understand what I said to him in Arabic, that's his fault. He's a dummy. I told him in his own language, I'm about to say this in English, repeat it. Huh? What you mean, huh? Dummy, I said it in your language. I'm going to use English in the next sentence, but I just told you in Arabic. How do you not understand in your own language? See, I don't need to respect that. That's stupidity in by any standard. A lot of it is also laziness. What these misandrists from the West want to do to these women, that's what's wrong. They want to tell these women, you need to view men and you need to view women and men through the same up lens that we do, and we're going to teach it to you so that you can push your man away and then be single and lonely and bitter with us. That's wrong, clearly. So now I only mention that because I know that some of the hate listeners are going to come along and they're going to try to make this point. But I already know why that point is invalid. Mine is right. I am paid to teach a skill so that the students have more when they leave than when they came in. I had a student Wednesday, I believe, come to me because he failed the placement test. And we gave interviews to give them another chance so as to be fair. And I had a student come to me and he failed everything. He was so dumb. Don't try to tell me not to call. This nigga was dumb. A lot of them were stupid with a capital S and an EU in the middle and an exclamation mark at the end. Dude was so dumb. I told him in Arabic, I'm going to ask you 3 questions in English, and they're easy. And all you got to do is 3 things for me when you answer. Answer the question I asked, answer it in English, answer in more than 1 word. If your sentence is grammatically incorrect, but you answered the question in English, you still can pass. You just have to use English even with your mistakes. That's it. Are you ready? Uh-huh. Okay, all right. How old are you? I am fine. Actually, he didn't even say I am fine. I said, how old are you? Fine. Okay, dummy. All right. What city are you from? Saudi Arabia. So what did he do? He answered in 1 word after I told him in Arabic not to do that. I went to the 3rd question. I said, this is your last chance. How many brothers and sisters do you have? And he was like, he told me in Arabic, I didn't understand the question. I said, I'm not allowed to translate it for you. I'll ask you another. What kind of car do you have? I didn't understand that question either. Okay. I'm only going to replace this question 1 more time. Dummy. Okay. Tell me the name of your English teacher. In high school, who taught you English? And I translated high school for him. I said, okay, now, you understand now what that word high school means. In high school, who was your English teacher? Or in high school, who taught you English? And he was like, yes. I said, okay, see, and I told him, you failed the interview. You're not ready for the program. This dude starts to beckon, man, I'm poor, man. I need this job. I said to him, listen, you went through free English classes. I didn't say 3 with a TH. I said free with an F. You went through free English classes, probably from elementary school, definitely through middle and high school. They were free. You didn't have to pay. Unless you just wanted to. They were free. You're coming to me now. He said, look, I can read. Give me the paper. Let me read. He read everything wrong. I said, man, you read this stuff wrong too. I mean, you can pronounce certain things. I get it. But you're not ready for this program. We don't start with ABC and 1, 2, 3. I know ABC and 1, 2, 3. I said, dummy, did you hear what I just said? We don't start with that. The other thing, too, I said to you in Arabic something. I gave you instructions in Arabic and you violated them because you're lazy. That's really what happened. You didn't pay attention to me when I talked to you in your own language. How you expect to develop in English, and we're starting past the point that you are. We're starting from high school English that you were supposed to have your last day in high school. We're starting after that point. Here you are. See, why am I telling y'all this? Because see, some people are going to come along. It's especially sisters that do this. And I know because they do it over here. Some of them have worked with my wife and they've heard me talk about the male students, and they don't come and correct me and talk down to me. Man, how about you fuck the shuck up? I'm teaching dudes, you teaching girls. Well, you know, black mind, sometimes you just got to pass students that ain't ready. Would give them a free grade? For one, that's not my job. I don't assign grades. Number two, if I'm supposed to do that, if I assign or I record the grades, I'm not going to lie, because that is intellectually dishonest. That's academically dishonest. They're not ready. Someone else does it. I don't know about it. But you want me to lie and say, okay, this kid gets a passing grade, but they don't know a damn thing and they cheated? You telling me to be academically dishonest? Who's going to trust me when I get caught doing that? The kid will go on with life and I'll lose my job. These are the same sisters, gentlemen, that are sitting up here lying about why they don't want you to find anybody. They don't want you to find anybody because they hate you so much that they want you to be incels. Then they can blame you for being incels because they're going to do it. Even though an incel is involuntarily celibate, that means maybe they don't know enough, or maybe it's something that they don't control even if they know about it, like an inability or an injury or a disfigurement, but they either cannot control what stops them, or they don't know enough to make themselves eligible for them draws. But they're involuntarily celibate. It's not within their control. And you notice they still want to call people incels as if to blame them for the involuntary celibacy, to which they've actually agreed in hair salons and online to subject most of us to if they can. That's really all it is. They want you and me and most of us to be incels. And when we find a way to not be that, they're upset. Would I tell you to travel just for women? Absolutely not. But since you travel to traditional areas, and many of you are going to do so anyway, because I ain't gonna lie, one reason I travel was to get away from American women. It had a lot to do with a job. The job is why I came to here, but one of the reasons I was ready to leave the States had to do with American women. I will tell you, leave the West to get away from Western women. I'll tell you that. And maybe I'm wrong for saying don't travel for women. Maybe I'm wrong for that, because traditional women might actually be worth that. Maybe they are. But I know that the Western woman is reason enough for you to leave. Fit the guck out, because if you reach the life in the West that you want to have anywhere on the planet, you're just a target. And you're not a target just for deception. You're not a target just for somebody to marry and then leave for the money. It's not that. No, you become a target for robberies, marriage and divorce, and robberies and everything else. You become a target for all this stuff. If she can't marry you and then divorce you to take half your stuff, she don't mind using false allegations to get more. And if she can't get anything out of you, she still is not above using false allegations in many cases just to cost you what you do have. Okay, well, I ain't gonna get no money, but let me get him thrown in prison, so he don't have it either. That's what they're doing. And these are the same ones that are over here telling me, well, black man, your attitude is all wrong. Them kids ain't stupid. Yeah, my students ain't even kids. And yes, some of them are dumb. Intentionally so. They made themselves stupid by following the culture of stupidity. Anti-intellectualism, anti-academia, and they became stupid by practice. And now they're standing in front of me and don't even understand their own language. If I say to somebody, disobey your fear, let me tell you how anti-intellectual it gets here so you understand. Because I'm drawing a parallel here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be going on for half an hour plus some. And I'm not even halfway done yet, to be honest. I mean, I'm going to try to finish soon, but there's a whole lot more I could say. But let me explain this to you. The anti-intellectualism here, it is unacceptable by any standards, but especially so by Islamic standards. We don't have that. It's not okay to be anti-intellectual as a Muslim. That doesn't mean that there aren't Muslims who are, but it's not okay. Don't believe me? Ask Amu Yum Yum or Saad Imam. He's on Facebook and YouTube. He's on YouTube as Amu Yum Yum. Saad Imam on Facebook. Is anti-intellectualism okay in Islam? Absolutely not. Guess what? These kids, especially a lot of these boys, they're really anti-intellectual. Now here, we guys teach male students. The ladies teach female students. That's what normally happens. Well, guess what? The guys come in with a good bit of anti-intellectualism in these Bedouin areas. That's changing. It's dwindling down. It's disappearing, but we still see some remnants of it. Students 4 years ago had it bad. Some of those guys now, they're 22. Some of them are now trying to get into the program of my new job. Even though I'm in a different city, I'm talking about the same age groups now. Some of them come in, they're 22. They started university, got out of high school and started university 4 years ago when anti-intellectualism was just rampant. For the age group, it's the norm. For the ones that are 2 years younger than them, it's old-fashioned and stupid. It's like a high top fade is for most of us. These guys come in and they sit in my office during the interview to determine if they get into the program or not. And a lot of times they don't qualify. And they don't understand their own language. They don't. But here's the kicker. Even years ago, long time ago, African-American sisters that were working here, and sometimes dysfunctional Afro-Latinas that were working with them, would say to me when they would hear me talking to the male teachers about our male students who were anti-intellectual and didn't want to learn nothing and always trying to beat the system, to the extent that they would routinely lie on us, so we have to protect their jobs, would sit up and interrupt me and they say, "Black mind, you up here talking about them like the Republicans talk about black and brown students in the United States." Okay, well, when they talk about black and brown students in the United States, it depends on what school. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. But they don't have a right to talk about anybody because they niggerized through colonization and enslavement and everything else. We didn't do this stuff to them. Nobody really did it to them. The British didn't even do this to them when they colonized this area. They're just backwards because they want to be. In the name of Bedouia. Well, actually, they say it's in the name of Islam, but it's really just Bedouia. And they're always lying on us, trying to get us fired because they want to get a free A. They want to be marked present when they're absent, sitting at home, sleeping or playing video games or jacking off. They want to do nothing and still get everything. Well, we all want that. They demand it. They have a whole system, a whole parallel system just designed for that. And they try to terrorize administrators from other Arab countries into giving them what they want and denying us our rights. The female students are however you tell me they are. But I'm telling you that this is how the male students are. I'm telling what I'm saying to this guy here, he knows is correct because we deal with it every day. Don't tell us how to do our job or how to view the male students. We don't teach your students, you don't teach ours. And these ladies would try to defend the BS and tell us to just be patient with it. That's who they are, gentlemen. These are the same ones. I have lady colleagues or former lady colleagues that actually work with my wife, but same company as my former company. They are the same lady that sat up here and said this thing on the video that you just heard. Shout out to Brazil Yesh for that video. Yeah, that's them. That's who they are. 4.5 years ago, this one lady sat up and said to me, "No, Black Mind." She said it in the WhatsApp group. "No, Black Mind, we don't just throw away students because they ain't doing what we want them to do." I told her that's not what I said. I said we have to ignore them so that we can teach the ones that want to learn, because the ones that are just there for the money, they're not going to do the work no matter what. But if you focus on them, then you not only lose time trying to get them to do anything, and you wind up neglecting the students that want to learn. The whole class gets further behind, you cover less material, and then they lie on you to your boss because you wouldn't let them sit there and drool and get money. That's what happens. We get to call on them periodically to give them opportunities, but we don't get to focus on them trying to bring them up to speed. They're just going to drag the rest of the class back. They ain't going to catch up. They don't care. They will not do it. If they were going to, they would already come to us with at least a few basic sentences of English, even if they have mistakes in them. They would come with at least that. They're coming to us and bragging about how they don't even know the English that was taught to them in high school and middle school. This is who they are. That's who the sister is. She enables effery and corruption and stupidity and anti-intellectualism, anti-academia and mental laziness where she goes, especially in males. Especially, and the more patriarchal the males seem to be, the more she enables it. Or the darker the males are, the more she enables it. They enable this. Why? Why would they do this? Because they want us to undermine the patriarchy that is here by trying to cater to the stupid and lazy, who are only stupid because they intentionally made themselves such by being lazy. That's how they got their way. They weren't born stupid. It ain't, that would make it not their fault. No, it's their fault they're dumb. They made themselves dumb. And they want us to cater to these guys at the expense of the ones that are trying and learning. Making the effort to learn and later earn. They want us to neglect them so that the nation will be weak while they sit up here and actually impart education and motivation to the lady students so that the ladies will get on top. They are actually over here trying to do for Massa what Massa did to the African American community. Or should I say population? Now, the sister is over here with Becky and Karen and Amber trying to do the same thing, because it ain't just sisters. They're just the ones that are the most aggressive about it. And their message goes over better to the Arab women here. Because, the white women can't turn off that entitlement sense, But I'm teaching you yoga, and I'm smart and enlightened and advanced in Western. Why are you so against learning yoga? Don't you want to learn yoga? And the Muslims, they're over here like, if you're talking about the exercise, fine. But when you start going into meditation and their spirituality, we already got ours. So, the white women, they hit certain roadblocks because they don't know how to go around them, right? Sisters know how to use nuance when it comes to doing something that they want to do. So they're going to sit up and say, well, and they don't even come to them with yoga. It's the sister that looks at Karen, Becky, and Amber and says, man, these kids ain't into yoga. You want to change their mind? Let me show you how it's done. Assalamu alaikum, sis. Listen, from black to brown, let me school you on something right quick, all right? Girl, look, would you like to travel? Yes, I would. Okay, girl, look, would you like to make the money to travel? Absolutely, of course. That's what you do. You need to lose that nigga. But he's my brother and my father, and later I'll have a husband. Okay, well, you know what, girl, that is fine. Let me tell you how to get from them what you want and not do a damn thing they tell you. Shh. Let me show you how to. They don't even come out that openly and say it. What they do instead is they say, girl, let me show you how to play them. Forgetting that they're trying to tell this girl how to play her own dad. She knows her dad. How to play her own brother. She knows her brother. What they do is they say, girl, this is how you play men in general. Girl, look, always hug your dad. Love your dad, girl. It's funny because they won't do this to their own dad stateside. Oh, my daddy ain't shit. Mama told me so I believe it. And so, girl, look, your daddy there. Girl, look, hug him. All that. Butter him up. You'll get everything. Dads hate to tell their daughters no. You'll have a woman here who ain't got a dad telling this woman how to manipulate her own dad. That's what sisters are doing. She, Karen, and Becky and Amber, they got the same agenda most of the times. Of course, we male teachers ain't coming with an agenda like that. It doesn't befit anybody. But they're coming with this type of agenda, and they're just like, you know what? Here, this is what you do. Girl, look, I'm about to school you. If you pay attention to me, I'm gonna have your mind sharp. I'm gonna make English easy. You're gonna be even more fluently bilingual than you are right now. And you're gonna know about the rest of the world. You're gonna be sharp and ready to go. You're gonna be good in whatever profession you decide to go into. Girl, look, listen to me. And of course, because the Arabs have some of us in them, actually they come from us. And you can debate about how Arab they really are genetically, but they do come from us. And there are certain things that are culturally consistent between us. It goes over better. That happens. And then they start saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to even get better at English than what I was. Because I'm going to tell you now straight up. The one that ran away from Saudi and went to Canada, I think her name is Rahaf Qanun, if I'm not mistaken. Rahaf al-Qanun. That one, when she ran off, I'm going to tell y'all what she did. She taught herself a lot of English. She was one of those that listened to Karen and Becky and Amber, but she didn't really listen to them in person that much. She listened to them electronically, and she took on their mindset. And she went all out and combined the worst of the sister and the worst of the white woman. She bought into some real serious militant misandry. Mark my words, she's going to try a woman at some point. And she does not feel guilty and come back to her religion before that point, she's going to try a woman. She done already done paternity fraud. Did y'all know that? Oh, absolutely. She's done paternity fraud. That boyfriend found out that baby wasn't even his. She said, you can put the baby up for adoption. I don't care according to what he said. But see, I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. See, this lady, she was one of those that listened to Karen, Becky, Amber, and Sophista Ratchet Sapphire. But Sophista Ratchet Sapphire is over here right along with Karen, Becky, and Amber, sitting up and talking about intersectionality and feminism and all this other stuff. And so the women here are getting it, and they're getting it through social media and in the classrooms, or in the classrooms when the lesson is over and they have some free time for whatever reason. That's where they're getting this stuff from. There is a foreign source of this, which is TikTok and other forms of social media. But there is also the foreign source that is still located domestically. And the sister is a part of this effort to undermine the local patriarchy. Now, I'm over here telling the men, listen, you need to throw that anti-intellectualism out. Your better we is not going to work in an academic environment. That's in your house. That's in your friend's house, in your living room, your guest room. That's where this stuff takes place. On your farm, fine. But what I'm saying is that in an academic and in a professional environment, you cannot throw that stuff out. If someone asks you an either or question and you say yes or no, you are an ucking idiot. You are retarded. And you need to be fired from any good job. Nigga. If someone tells you something in your own language and you don't understand them, you're a dummy. Nigga. No, it's not okay to walk around here misspelling things in your own first language routinely. And then you want to have a nice desk job with a good salary. You're illiterate, functionally speaking, according to your own definition. You got to, hey man, tighten up. You can do better. I'll help you. That's what I'm saying to them. I'm telling them, look, if you're going to, for one, if you got sisters now, you're going to have to help take care of some of them. You're going to have a family. You're going to have to help take care of them. You need to be tight at your job because those are the people that don't get fired when the economy gets tight. And it's already tightening up. The ones when the economy gets tight and the salaries go down and the prices go up, the people who have the most skills are the ones that get through the most and with the least injury. And even then they may suffer. That's what happens. I'm the one saying this to them. I'm not up here trying to undermine the patriarchy. I'm simply telling them you're going to have to get rid of this anti-intellectualism. Why? Because guess what? Your sister is not. She's intellectual. If you have a girlfriend, she's not getting rid of that. You shouldn't have one unless you're married to her, but she's not going to get rid of that. They're moving up academically. I know because I helped my wife grade papers. And there's a certain amount of anti-intellectualism they have, but they're willing to take correction, which means they can improve. You're like, it doesn't really matter. You correct one of them about their spelling, even in their own language. It's a nigger response. Bro, you know what I meant. You know what? I don't care what you meant. Write it correctly. What you think happens when I got to tell them about this in English? Although I'm nicer about it because it is their second language. It's a nigger response and they're going to get nigger results. These women that I'm telling you over here that are trying to undermine that patriarchy are the same as this woman over here talking that you heard at the beginning. I don't want you underestimating their presence globally, and I don't want you to underestimate their hatred. How many of them have it, nor its severity. It is a hatred that you're not going to be able to fully explain. I've been trying to do it and I still can't fully explain it, but it is there. And I don't want you to underestimate it. When I tell you to duck your head at work, like Brazil Yesh also says to do, duck your head at work, be polite at work, get the job done, but fly under the radar. I'm not even telling you this because they're just angry about something legitimate and they're misdirecting their anger. I'm not even telling you that. I'm telling you this because their hatred doesn't seem to require a foundation. It's a very satanic hatred. And I say that literally because in all three faiths, Satan hated Adam before Adam was even alive. Satan hated Adam without a reason. No good reason, at least. Is it because Satan hated mud? I don't know. Did he hate clay? Doesn't matter. Did Satan hate dark colors? Doesn't matter. Satan hated Adam before Adam was alive. He just hates it. He hates it the way I hate beans and peas. I hate them. At least I consider and say I actually hate them because of the taste, and they have a mild narcotic effect on me. So it's a mood. I don't know why the peas and beans are a mood altering drug to me. If I eat them, I get into a really bad mood and I can't get out of it. But at least there's something to that. Whereas, I mean, you can't explain Satan's hatred for Adam. You could say jealousy. But then again, I mean, God was always fair. Allah was never unjust, and Satan knew this. Satan hated Adam more than he loved himself or loved God. And you are dealing with a hatred that is equally illogical and indescribable and unfounded. That's why I tell you the same thing Brazil Yes tells you. You must fly under the radar. Because as more of us begin to fly under the radar, keep in mind that they're going to lower the radar. They'll raise their standards and move the goalposts clearly, but they will also drop the radar as more and more of us begin to fly under it. So this means the guys that were not targets right now knew how to not be targets because there's always some flashy, loud, ostentatious show-off Negro trying to get some trim by impressing these bitches. Now, as fewer guys try to impress them, you're going to have them simply lower the radar and start looking around to see what guy they're going to target, verbally and otherwise. So you got to get ahead of that curve and learn how to fly under an even lower radar. Well, you got to learn how to do that by flying under the radar that's already there before it lowers. And that's why I'm sitting up here taking 50 minutes plus to tell you something off of a video of which I only played about a minute and a half. She came out and said it. Did I not tell you that that's what this is? They want most of you to be genetic dead ends and incels. And when you find a way to not be that, they get angry. And Don Calypso has told you, you are the insurance policy and the retirement plan. And that has been dependent upon you being kept in the dark about what they are, what they want. And Nyla, Red Femme Diaries, whose real name is Nyla. Oh man, she blew the lid off of this. She pretty much said it. Told Poor Man's Podcast about this. Blew the absolute lid off of this. Left a lot behind for her boys, for her sons. And I really do think that I need to take some of that red pill stuff and back that up as well to my Odyssey. I think I need to do that. Just so that if her boys ever need it and they reach out to me through the channel, like, you know what? Here are the links. You got it, man. I say that only because since she's dead, her channel is inactive. And I don't know how long YouTube will leave those things up, especially if there are comments underneath about the death of someone. That's why I'm saying that. So in any case, this went long. This was a very long time, I know, and I'm sorry about that. But thank you for listening and bearing with me and being patient as always. And I'll try to, update more often, but I do have a job and I don't know when they're going to call me back to it. Compound's not ready, like I've stated. But another upload is coming after this one, and that's going to be about the disorganization that I have seen at my new job. And really the disorganization and dysfunction that you will see amongst other groups of people in general, because we as a people, including my audience, still have not gotten it through our thick heads that black folks are not the only ones that are dysfunctional, nor are we the only ones with any particular dysfunction we have. That's another topic for the next upload, though. Again, thanks for listening to Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout, Assalamu Alaikum, and Black Heterosexual Non-Select Male Power, just because they don't like it, and Black Patriarchy until extinction or Judgment Day. Thank you again for choosing to fly with Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. And I hope you keep jetting black with me until the wings and the wheels fall off. On your way out, check the tip jar, and justice forever.